Now, Jojo's Bizarre Adventure is one of the most iconic and influential manga of all time. Although shit recently started to pop off because of the anime adaptation that took 20 years, in Japan, Jojo's like the fucking Bible. They got cafes, theme park rides, and even sold 100 million copies. Like, if you say that shit is not iconic, you tripping out. Jojo is a story about a family fighting the forces of evil, but they don't fight at once. It's split into parts from part 1, Phantom Blood, all the way to part 8, Jojolian. In this video, I'm gonna speak on how I feel about every single Jojo part. Now, this video has spoilers, so for example, if you're not on part 6, then watch the video until I start talking about part 6. Then go to this timestamp for my final thoughts on the series as a whole. But anyways, let me start the slander. Now, first off, we have part 1. And to me, this part gets too much hate. Because not only is it a measly 9 episodes, it also was a setup to the whole entire series. Now, the first little arc in part 1 is about Jonathan Joestar, the Jojo of this part, and his adopted brother Dio. So Dio is a menace throughout these first 2 episodes. Not only does he burn Jonathan's dog and kiss his girlfriend, he also becomes a vampire and shit, which then Jonathan has to defeat him using the power system at the time known as Hamon. And the next 2 episodes focus mainly on trying to defeat Dio until he eventually cuts his head off, but turns out Dio is actually alive and he killed Jonathan, and then the part ends there. Now overall, this part was boring, but the first 3 episodes and the final episode were actually very entertaining. But compared to the other parts, part 1 is fucking dog shit. But keep in mind, this was a shonen written in the late 80s, so there weren't many blueprints that Araki could use to make a masterpiece. He just had to work using his own creativity. But moving on, part 2, or Battle Tendency, was much better than part 1. This time, the Jojo is called Joseph Joestar, and he's the grandson of Jonathan. Part 2 takes place like 50 fucking years after part 1, and Dio's not the threat anymore, but now the villain or villains are the Pillar Men, which consist of Cars, ACDC, and Wamu. Now these Pillar Men are basically vampires like Dio, but way stronger. Their main goal is to become immortal and immune to the sun, which Cars does accomplish, but then he gets blasted into space and eventually stops thinking. Overall, part 2 shits on part 1, but it's still not peak shit. It was enjoyable, and although the story or plot wasn't that good, the characters and fights make up for it. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10, but they should have mainly cared about Joseph. Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, is the most iconic and most popular Jojo part, but it's also one of the worst ones. The main Jojo of this part is Jotaro Kujo, who is 17 years old and shows emotion 2% of the time. This part introduced a new power system called stands, which is also my favorite power system in all of fiction. Basically, stands are physical manifestations of the soul. They started as fast, punchy ghosts and evolved into what the fuck? Dio's back, and because he's back, Jojo's mom gets sick and they have to go to Egypt and kill Dio and save his mom or whatever. They form a group along the way known as the Stardust Crusaders, but it doesn't matter since they die towards the end. The part ends with one of the most iconic fights in anime manga history and a very satisfying ending to a very long journey. Overall, part 3 is actually incredible. Most people get bothered by the fact that every 2 episodes they fight a bunch of mini bosses until they get to Dio, but the thing is, the mini boss fights were actually very entertaining. I'm gonna rate part 3 an 8 out of 10. It's not really carried by anything, but it's brought down by the stand of the weak shit, but without it, it would still be like an 8.3 max. Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, is when Jojo starts to become peak shit. The main Jojo is Josuke Higashikata, and he's the son of Joseph Joestar after Joseph cheated on Suzy Q, the woman he married. Now this part has a really strong cast. We got characters like Rohan, Koichi, and shit. To me, it has a slice of life feel that I can see why people like. I'm not really a fan of it. That was until Kira came in. Kira made this part fucking beautiful. Mwah. Everything from his introduction to the Bites of Dust arc was beauty. Now part 4 also has a good roster of stands with stands like Killer Queen, Heaven's Door, and Crazy Diamond. The part was more colorful and by far the happiest Jojo part we had. We only got 2 deaths, excluding Rohan and the part where Kira fucking killed everyone. Part 4 ended off pretty wholesome as well with the scene of Josuke, Jotaro, and Joseph. I like part 4 a lot. I rated it at 8.5. Now the first half heavily brings it down. I felt like the part really picked up when Kira joined, but moving on, we have part 5, Golden Wind. Now this is a controversial part in Jojo, because either you fucking love part 5 or you fucking hate it. Now personally, Golden Wind is a masterpiece. It has everything I ever wanted in a battle shonen. Straight action. The main Jojo for this part is Giorno Giovanna, and he's also the son of Dio. But fuck Giorno, the real MVPs of this part are the side characters. Bucciardi, Mista, Narancia, Doppio, Risotto, and Diavolo are all amazing characters to me. My favorite being my nigga Bruno. The entire part he was a GOAT. Now part 5's final arc, the Requiem arc, is what brings it down for me, but still the arc was fire. Confusing but fire. Gold Experience Requiem is one of my favorite abilities in all of anime, and Giorno looks so fucking clean. The final shot of part 5 with Giorno as the Mafia boss was pictured as well. Overall, I'm gonna rate this masterpiece a 9 out of 10, and this is brought down in fact by the final arc, but anyways, moving on. Now, at the time of this video, part 6 is not out yet, so if you're an anime only and you're not trying to get spoiled, just go to this timestamp. But anyways, moving on. Part 6, Stone Ocean, is a hit and miss. Now part 6 cast of characters is peak. The main Jojo is Jolene, and she's his first and only female Jojo so far. Her stand I dislike though, it's just string and punch, nothing else. Her dad is none other than Jotaro, and I must say, I love how Araki did Jotaro in this part. He introduced him in the start, fucked him over, for him to make one of the most cleanest entrances in the end. Now the main villain in this part is what stood out to me. Poochie. Poochie is basically a Dio simp who wants to achieve heaven. Now I didn't think much of Poochie until the final 2 arcs, the Sea Moon arc and the Made in Heaven arc. These 2 arcs, holy shit, blew my fucking mind. It was straight hype and it makes up for the weird and slow parts of part 6. Now Made in Heaven is probably one of the most broken abilities in anime, seeing how it literally soloed the entire verse. But overall, part 6 is good. It's just that it has slow parts. I'm already at 8.7, which is controversial rating about part 4, but hey man, what can I say, part 6 is peak. Now moving on to part 7, Steel Ball Run. Now this part of Jojo, I'm not joking when I say this. This is my favorite piece of anime manga ever created. Steel Ball Run is what made Jojo one of my favorite pieces of fiction. Now I won't talk too much. When my channel starts popping, I'm gonna make a video about part 7. But to touch the waters a bit, part 7 is about a horse race from one side of America to the other side, taking place in 1890. The main Jojo is Johnny Joestar, the counterpart to Jonathan Joestar, and he's crippled. Now yes, it's funny that he's crippled, but take a moment and think about how perfectly Araki set up Johnny's character development. Put him in the worst spot physically and mentally. And then when the part ended, made him into a fucking goat. Now, I don't usually call things flawless, but Johnny Joestar's character to me is flawless. And that's not even it. We have Gyro, who is for sure top 5 best side characters in manga. He's my favorite Jojo character, and him and Johnny are my favorite duo in manga as well. The cast of characters in this part are also amazing. We got Hot Pants, Lucy Steele, Diego Brando, the counterpart to Dio, alternate universe Diego Brando, the counterpart to Diego Brando, the counterpart to Dio, and one of the greatest antagonists of all time, Funny Valentine. Now, you know how people say, haha, Jojo's fucking gay. Next you get to say Jojo's gay, show them a picture of Valentine. This man is the straightest Jojo character. He emits Chad energy. Oh, he's also insanely powerful. As a matter of fact, so is Johnny. D4C Love Train and Tusk Act 4 are possibly 2 of the most broken abilities of manga. Overall, I'm gonna rate part 7 a 10 out of 10 because as I said before, one of the greatest things I ever laid my eyes on. Moving on is part 8, Jojolion, which I'm currently reading, so I can't rate it, but you know how Diego's like the counterpart to Dio and Johnny's the counterpart to Jonathan? Well, part 8 is a counterpart to part 4, with the main Jojo being Josuke, you know, the counterpart to Josuke. This part so far is my favorite art-wise. The shit looks like it belongs in a fucking museum, with like high security lasers protecting it. Another thing is the stands in this part are wild. Like remember I said we start off with Punchy Ghosts? Yeah, nah. If you thought stopping time is crazy, there's a stand called the Wonder of You, which is basically you think of it, you're fucked. It's crazy and I really can't wait to read more of this part. But yeah, that's my thoughts on every JoJo part. Overall, the series is exactly what I ever wanted from a manga, and it's my favorite of all time. And I don't see it dropping from that spot. If you're curious on what my other rankings are, then to rank the JoJos by how much I like them, I'd have Jonathan, then Josuke part 4, then Giorno, then Josuke part 8, then Jotaro, then Jolene, then Joseph, then Johnny. Now these are very fucking close, so it depends on what day you ask me, but yeah. For villains, I'd have Cars, then Diavolo, then Dio, then Poochie, then Kira, then Valentine. This one I'm more confident on, so I don't think I'll change much. I'd probably switch Dio and Poochie one day, but that's about it. Now I'm still reading the My Hero War arc. I've just been busy editing videos, so I'm gonna get back to that right now. If you like the video, make sure to fucking press the like button and subscribe too, cause we're best friends. Y'all have a nice day, for real though. We out.